Greetings and welcome everybody to the Jane Live Miracle Medicine on a Thursday. And today we are celebrating the finality of my doctorate and the achievement and all the hard work that was put into it and the fulfillment that I received doing it. And I just want to extend my huge thanks and acknowledgement to all of you clients, colleagues, and friends who have contributed to the development of my holistic integrated epigenetic life orientation system, which I'm going to be speaking about today. So these are excerpts out of the oral presentation that I gave on Monday, which was 4 days ago. And I thought you might like to hear a little bit. Not everybody was in the room. I want to thank the people that were in the room. And yes, you might enjoy just finding out what I did, and there'll be more to come along the way, but I'm very excited and couldn't wait to share this with you. So welcome everybody, and it's going to be so nice to have you all. So I'm just greeting everybody. People are going to come in. That's great. All right, so let me, without further ado, just share the slides. And get the slideshow up. Perfect. There we go. Let's start. So remember that it's a business presentation. So the slides are formal, you know, and but I'm going to make it as animated as possible. So the title was Holistic Integrated Epigenetic Life Orientation, a multi-dimensional holistic quantum well-being framework. And the acronym for Holistic Integrated Epigenetic Life Orientation is HEILO, high and low. And that's got everything to do with unified yin and yang binary happiness and sadness together. Because in a duality situation, you have happiness and sadness on opposite ends of a continuum. In holism, you have them together as the yin and yang sign, for example, in binary unified yin and yang. So they work together and not apart. I'm going to share some more with you now. So when we have a look at my research background, and I think I'm just going to spend a little bit of time, first of all, explaining to you my stance on this. And this is what you do in research. So my main stance is to interpret information. I believe in relativity, which is relative information, and subjectivity, which means there are many truths. And remember, before I started this research, any research that I had done before was quite quantitative. In other words, I would do statistics and I would say 20% believe this, 40% believe that, 85% believe the following. So this was quite a test for me on a personal level to do qualitative research where you're dealing very much with subjective information. And I was dealing with the subjective information in the holistic unified field, where the field of wisdom, ultimate wisdom. So anyway, just to share that with you. So my whole stance is holism. There is only one holism. In the presentation, one of the questions to me was, well, you know, why have you got an Eastern holism and a Western holism? And I said, you know, hold on, there's one holism. Holism is whole, it's one. And I looked at dominant reductionism in the world, the disarray in the world problems concerning not only health, but also education, finance situation, spirituality, home life, relationships, food, the world itself, and honed it down to the diminished health status of individuals that I see coming to my center, the 365 Healthy by Choice Center in Bryanston, of those people who've been on a conventional biomedical route insofar as symptomatic analysis and diagnosis and a repeat prescription, compared to the people that are here that undergo a complete holistic reset. because, my paradigm is holism and that paradigm is exclusion. So when I came into the healing realm as a pharmacist, there was discord because what I was entering into wasn't my paradigm, and I knew that right from the beginning. And I had to write so many times about the disease having an unknown etiology, unknown cause, and I knew that could never, ever, ever be. So that's why I think I set about, following the natural route to find the place where we could find, a realignment of the dis-ease or the disorder. So that's where I come from. Reductive allopathic medicine is often synthetic, man-made, harmful, chemotherapy, chemical. And the patient is prescribed what to do, and often a victim of the dis-ease or the disorder. And as I said, symptoms are revealed. Now, this isn't a problem at all, and this is not a judgment from my side. In fact, if we hadn't have followed this reductive medical world scenario, and let me explain reductive to those of you who are listening in. Reduction means breaking things down into small parts. Holism is the whole containing everything. So those are the two, they're not even paradigms. These are the two aspects that I was looking at. But in research, you need a gap. So my gap was between the dominant reductionism and holism, which includes the dominant reductionism, if I could say that. So the gap is there so far as research is concerned, but it's not a gap. And I'm saying that because we as humanity needed to follow the last 3 years, which is really soaked in Cartesian Darwinism, reductionism, in order for me to get to this point to express this well-being framework in a holistic way. We needed to innovate as much as we have. I mean, there's been major advances in all spheres, including medical. And nobody's ignoring that. But the time now is to have a look at that paradigm and have a look at the results of it. And the results are lots of disease, lots of organs that are ailing, lots of systems that are ailing in the body, circulation, weight, blood sugar, blood pressure, autoimmunity, pain and inflammation on the physical side, or some of them. On the mental side, disorders, sadness, anxiety, depression. And when you look at that and the increasing numbers over the last 15 years, ending in 2015, the amount of prescribed medications had increased by 15-fold. So, sorry, by 5-fold. By 2015, it had increased by 5-fold. And then I was recently looking at another research article where it said that if you were born in 2019 as a female, you would spend 47 years on medication, as a male 38 years. So, this is increasing and increasing. And the disorders are increasing, the diseases are increasing. So this is the end result of dominant reductionism. We need reductionism. We need to look down the microscope. We need to break things into part, but we can't operate from there because we are integrated. So if we're talking about our thyroid, it can't just be the thyroid. The thyroid is part of our whole entire body. We are part of the whole world that surrounds us, and we're part of the cosmos. So we've got to look holistically, and that's the difference. And as I said, for me to do this framework and get to this point in my life, and my evolution, I needed the reductive dominance to do that. So natural health is more about alchemy. It's more about natural nutrient-dense foods, organic foods, authentic foods, patients taking full responsibility for their health. And self-transforming, self-healing. as opposed to being prescribed on this will fix you, but take it for the next 12 months, repeat script sort of thing. So that's the real difference. That's my position from an ontological stance. And that will pervade everything, that everything is whole, living and non-living. There's cohesion in the world, and everything is in a binary situation. So that'll just that just puts it into a nutshell for you. I'm going to restart the presentation, and that puts us into the ontological stance, which is mine, which is relativism. And then from an epistemology point of view, it would be interpretivism. So I would want to hear, using the qualitative research approach and exploring, interpret data, and actually then induce meaning. So I set about having interviews where myself and the interviewee co-created reality. And when people came to the center for the interviews, in the octagon, very comfortable, very still, open doors, bird life outside, sanctuary effect, very still, no cell phones on. I did record the recordings, but the phone was on airport mode. And when I felt there was stillness and calmness, and the person was entering into consciousness, that's when we started the interview. So we were working with the unified field of wisdom, consciousness, and that's where the interviews were conducted. That is where the subconscious and the superconscious are, and the realities are, the real truths. That's just a bit of theory. I thought I'd just throw that in to know where I'm coming from. Also as a pharmacist, I've obviously observed over the last 40 years the medical profession. And, we really do need to bring in some serious critical thinking into the way forward here, and thinking out of the box. So for the research, the overarching challenge lay in the global proliferation of instances of disease and ill-being, which I've alluded to. The contemporary application of the reductionist models, as I've said, in finance, education, home life, health. And then I looked at the shortcomings which has affected the individuals. And I talked about the people with having diminished health status that visited my center on conventional therapy. So this then led to the aim of my research to develop a multidimensional holistic quantum well-being framework for individuals to foster innovative and creative societies and working environments. So I wanted to awaken to holistic consciousness and build this framework. And then there were objectives to explore the current reductive dimensions of well-being contributing to compromised health status amongst individuals, to identify the holistic well-being dimensions necessary to fill the gap between ill-being and well-being among individuals, to assess self-reflecting measurement of personal well-being among individuals, and to investigate existing well-being frameworks for individuals to foster innovative and creative societies and working environments. So this was about the individual, but also the individual within businesses and the individual within holistic medical orientations as well. But remember, people are the catalyst, so it all starts with people. And I'll go further deep into the HEILO process, Holistic Ancestral Orientation, Holistic Business Orientation, towards the end of the presentation. So the key research question, the high-level question, was how can a multidimensional holistic quantum well-being framework for individuals to foster innovative and creative societies and working environments be developed? And this was my mission. The sub-questions here, we were the how and the why questions, and here is where I worked on paradigms, and I'm going to tell you about the 3 paradigms. So these sub-questions relate to the objectives earlier. So the theoretical framework had a holistic, that was the main theory, inclusive, interdependent, interdisciplinary, interconnected, whole, and all-encompassing. And looking at holistic well-being dimensions orientated within a multidimensional nonlinear framework. Because what I found in the research was that everything was linear. The diagrams were diagrammatic, linear, nothing non-linear about them, nothing beyond the three-dimensional realm. The dimensions were also in a duality. Nothing was holistic about them. Happiness and sadness were not together. So there was a massive gap to shift all of the well-being into holistic consciousness and into then a non-linear multidimensional framework. Not been done before. So it was very groundbreaking. And I used interdisciplinary theories. Now, normally in your research, you use one. But that wasn't good enough for Jane. Jane used 11, all right? And one of the external examiners said, how I interweaved 11 seemingly disparate theories and philosophies was incredible. So I did achieve that, and it did take a little bit of my time to get all this sorted out. But once I got it, I got it. So I obviously did all the literature review, and then I came up with the conceptual model, which I'll show you, based on those 11 theories, and then did the research, had the findings, discussed the findings, and then the conclusions. So moving here to the conceptual framework and the interdisciplinary theories, which I spoke to you about. Here they are here, the heuris, the hermeneutical centeredness, holism, Taoism. So holism was embedded in Taoism, or Taoism embedded in holism for the purposes of my research, because I just found that Taoism really encompassed what I needed. And what I did was also from an interdisciplinary perspective, interwove Western modern quantum physics with Eastern holism. And modern Western quantum physics is measuring today Eastern holism right up to the quantum collapse. Can't really go beyond consciousness. It can't really measure consciousness yet, but it can measure right up to a simulation of the quantum collapse, which I'm going to speak about as I go along. So also one of the questions was, well, how come you avoided Western holism? And I've already explained that to you. There's one holism. And I said, look, if, from the beginning to the end of my study, I talked about quantum physics. That's Western. So it was a very, very balanced document based on what the last 300 years have brought to humanity, major advances, but at the same time, lots of disease and disorder and mental illness. So that holism bounded together for me. We looked at well-being theory, systems thinking within holism, relativity, time and space, quantum physics, as I've just said, consciousness itself, the unified field, the morphogenic field, also called that, and the 0 point. And even the Eastern philosophers there are no words for beyond the 0 point. So the quantum collapse, where we come through chaos, converges on the central 0 point, and then diverges into a higher consciousness level, is happening at that 0 point, and we don't know what's beyond that 0 point. We don't know yet in our terms of our consciousness. So very interesting. But you can see the points here. So we were moving from reductionist duality to holistic binary yin and yang in non-duality, from linear to non-linear. In other words, from 2 and 3 dimensions into 4 dimensions and more. From localized particles as dimensions as particles, sadness and happiness as particles, vibrating, to non-locality in spatial orientation in non-located. And that's particles. So that was what we did. And then from known and seen and measured, which a reductionist will always want to do. They want to measure, they want to see, to holistic, which is uncertain, indeterminate probabilities, fractal replication, where nothing repeats itself, non-verbal healing, and non-linear healing. So that's really my domain there. The uncertainty, the indeterminate probabilities, the non-locality, the multidimensionality, non-linear, non-duality, binary yin and yang. That's holism. So this marks the beginning. It also marks the beginning of the life spiral in Taoism, where there's a spiral in and a spiral out, and that's very much aligned with the torsion field, where we converging and diverging, converging and diverging, and each repetition, each fractal repetition, if you like, is different. And it also includes the 8 points of the trigrams in the Taoist 8 essential healers. It also includes the cross of the heuristic, and it includes the 8 points of the hermeneutical centeredness. So you can see already structurally, I brought in the theories, and from a particle point of view, insofar as well-being is concerned, I brought in all the other theories as well. So very nice, very tight. If you've got any questions, please ask. The literature review was absolutely extensive. Now, imagine one researcher, in a normal doctorate, you have one researcher with about 2 or 3 main research people. I had hundreds. I think I have about 30 pages of at least 20 or 30 researchers. So when my research goes live, a lot of researchers are going to be pinged. So I suppose I better be ready for their emails. But the first thing I researched was current reductive challenges brought about by symptomatic treatment, diagnoses, not getting to the root cause of disease, people told they're well and they're not well, that kind of thing. No real attention to the food they eat, the lifestyle, nothing organic, authentic, that kind of thing. So I looked at all of that and saw, the debates going on between what reductionism has brought us and what holism could bring us. And I brought in a lot of new models like the CAMS model, which is integrating all the natural healing modalities. So if I just go back to 1917, when the Flexner report was released. The Flexner report was released by some doctors in Austria and Germany, and they decided that they were going to abolish anything natural in the medical schools, and that meant the doctors had to adopt a symptomatic diagnostic and pharmaceutical prescription for people, and that if they did follow anything natural, they would be closed down. The doctors would be forced to stop working, and their centers would be closed down. And that's exactly what happened. They went around America and closed them all. Prior to that, yoga was used, acupuncture was used, massages were used, energy medicine, quantum medicine. All of that was already being used, but it was abolished. It was removed. And the pharmaceutical medical reductionism became the domain. And that's the fact. So, since about the 1950s, 60s, 70s, doctors have been reporting on wellness, as from ill-being to wellness. And then I moved from wellness to well-being, because well-being is holism. Wellness has just been well in the health field, or well-being is well insofar as finance is concerned, education, environment, social aspects, spiritual aspects, home life, in food, finances, and health. So those are dimensions which I'll show you about in a moment. So well-being was very important, and then well-being with happiness and sadness separately brought together as holistic wellness. So that's the next paradigm that I looked at. The first one was to to bring illness to wellness. So coming out of the research, and this is going to clarify what I've just said to you, there were 4 major themes. So the first one is, what are the reductionist challenges, which I've spoken to you about, affecting patients and causing diminished health status. The second one was holistic well-being dimensions. Holistic well-being dimensions, promoting perpetual harmonic, all-inclusive health. So this was constantly changing, constantly evolving. That's how we are. And then the third one was a self-reflecting measurement of personal well-being. And the fourth one then was motivation for assessing your health status and alignment to multidimensional holistic well-being consciousness. That is the framework, the nonlinear framework. So let's just have a look then at the paradigm shifts which pertain to the first and the second and the fourth themes, and then I'll talk about the self-reflecting measurement of well-being. So looking at this diagram here, we can make it a little bit bigger. I started off with the structural theories, the 8 trigrams, the cross, the heuristic, and then the hermeneutical centeredness, the 8 points as well. And you can see they were just the top. And then in the interviews, we made it more symmetrical. So in the beginning, there was consciousness, there was well-being, there was a lens through which we could view well-being from these 8 base trays. Now, the 8 base trays would be the finances, the education, the health, the social environment, food, the world, etc. So those were the 8 base trays that I talked about, the various domains. And then the top was well-being and consciousness. So this is what came through based on the research. Then we made it geometrical, co-constructed, where we put ill-being at the bottom with another lens of awareness. So if a person who was ill could look through and get glimpses through the lens of awareness and see these various 8 fields, see which one was out of alignment, we could then address that alignment with them and see how everything else laid together, and then get glimpses of their through to well-being, holistic consciousness. There was an axis and this was spinning around. And as you can see, those of you can know, this is still third dimensional. So it was ill-being to well-being, and the framework shifting from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional. Still duality well-being, still linear, and still localized particles. That was the first paradigm shift. The second paradigm shift was the multidimensional. Wellness and illness. Let's just see what this one is saying to us. Just to get it to you. Sorry, I'll give it all to you. Economic abundance and scarcity. Intelligent knowledge versus belief. Truth and awakening and truth constructed. World view, which is what I said. So here we have, this is the top-down view with the high levels of consciousness in the middle, consciousness and unconsciousness in the middle. That's the axis. The high level states well-being and ill-being, followed by the lenses, the 2 lenses. So it's all squashed now into a top-down view. The base trays were the outer level, all the 8 outer ones. And they would be linked to earthly experiences plus holistic, unified, existential experiences. Existential existence. And then the lower lens was there, and ill-being and well-being there. So that was a top-down. And then if we have a look at this beautiful, still 3-dimensional diagram, that's basically what you saw there in, vertical dimension. So a little bit of movement was starting to come in. The dimensions were in holism. And we're getting binary yin and yang. Still not quite unified, still not quite particles. The dimensions were still not quite particles, even though they were holistic. So that was the second paradigm shift. The third paradigm shift was the final, where we moved. I'm going to open this up, where we moved to a torsion field. This is a top-down view now. Particles as binary dimensions in a non-duality and non-localized form. Particles as quantum packets of vibrating energy showing uncertain, indeterminate probabilities, entwined and entangled. Holistic well-being dimensions in perpetual harmonic renewal. Floating around the torsion field, there's a golden mean downwards and a golden mean upwards. And we also have the convergence into the middle and the divergence out of it into greater consciousness. The particles in the packets were vibrating energy showing uncertain, indeterminate probabilities, entwined and entangled. Entwined and entangled means simply, once particles are joined, they're inseparable. Entwinement, entanglement is holism. We can't separate it. When you separate things out of holism is when you get disease, whether it's your business, whether it's your own self, whether it's your home. When you separate things out of holism, you get disease, you get discord. So we need to always operate within holism. And the torsion field explains beautiful holism because it's constantly evolving, perpetually, harmonically renewing itself, and almost like the caterpillar to the butterfly. And quantum collapses are occurring. So this is when you get intense chaos, divergence of forces, a quantum collapse at the 0 point, and then a divergence out with raised consciousness. That's what we do within the HIELO Holistic Integrated Epigenetic Life Orientation framework. It's multidimensional. It's looking at holism, quantum, and well-being. So everything we're doing, I'm doing now. And in the 365 Healthy by Choice Center is centering around HIELO. High and low, but in unified binary. So we need the resistance. We need a bit of sadness, a bit of balancing back with happiness. We need nice joy, balancing back. So we've got a constant, perpetual balancing act. As humans, why are we here? Why do we have challenges? Are they challenges? Are they actually obstacles? Or are we a leaf floating down a river, going around the rocks, vortexing over here, carrying on our flow? Is that really how we are, or are we getting blocked? Or do we have obstacles? Do we make mistakes? Those are the questions you can answer. So within this torsion field, this is a new paradigm that my research is suggesting to the world, bringing to the world. And it's based on my day after day, seeing clients, assisting them purify on a physical level, assisting them purify emotionally, observing the quantum collapse, them knowing and observing their own quantum collapse, and being able to self-measure and self-transform. So self-measurement in itself boiled down to our own inner barometer. This came again from the conscious field. So everything I've told you about comes from the conscious field. A barometer of self-measurement. The psychologists like to use life satisfaction, where they will use objective and subjective questions. They will talk about hedonistic satisfaction, which is the quick fix, the continual entertainment, short-lived, no real direct satisfaction, whereas a eudaimonic satisfaction would be tending towards well-being. For example, me fulfillment in my doctorate, that's enormous life satisfaction, enormous well-being. And that stays, that's sustainable. Going to the movies, buying an ice cream, that's hedonistic. Buying whatever you want, consumerism, that's hedonistic, it's reductionist. The medical profession will have a look at serotonin, dopamine, neurotransmitter levels, even estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone as indicators of well-being. happiness and well-being. They will look at adrenaline and cortisol levels as incidences of unhappiness, ill-being. Interesting. The Eastern philosophers will then look holistically at this internal barometer, self-knowing, self-knowledge, your vitality, your alignment of your chakras, your meridians, your vital force, your life force. So that's where this is positioned, and my whole framework is positioned. So people would continuously enter into this perpetual harmonic renewal within the framework and constantly raise their consciousness. The 8 trigrams around the torsion field are the 8 elemental elements of health that are in Taoism. And each one mentions something. The top one is heaven, the bottom one is earth, the straight lines are yang, the broken lines are yin, which is female, and the yang would be male. So each one of these, when you're looking at the meaning of all of them, you know, there's oxygen is our primary nutrient, the importance of water, the body is electric, and they all have, anyway, a meaning, and we take the clients exactly through all of that. So that to me really, really sums up where we need to go. Now remember that the beyond 3-dimensional we can't see. So that's why I put there with, torsion field characteristics. However, Kozyrev in 1950s did prove the torsion field. And it was based on the spirals that he observed in the where were they put concentration, not concentration camps, where they were locked up anyway in the war. And he had a long time to look at the plants growing in the spirals. And then when he came out, as he was actually an astrophysicist, he then put all the information together regarding the torsion field. So I was, really, acknowledgement to him regarding this. And then no one's really further developed that. But you can imagine yourself in the middle of this torsion field. You are the core, and there's almost an apple around you. And that's what I often say to people. So when we're working with my QUEX ED quantum machine, we're balancing this scalar wave. And if there might be chinks in the apple, in the sphere, we're straightening them. Almost like if there's a dent in the copper and you're knocking it out. So we're constantly working on the shape. And the more spherical this is, the higher the life force, the higher your energy, the higher the electron spin, the higher the neg entropy, which is what we live on. So that was what I discussed there. Holistic well-being dimensions in perpetual harmonic renewal, a multidimensional nonlinear framework with torsion field characteristics. And there are the interdisciplinary theories that are holding this whole lot together for the holistic well-being dimensions and the multidimensional nonlinear framework. So that's interesting, I thought. And then, the significance of my study there, it was huge. It was innovative across individuals, across businesses, across medical orientation as well. The self-measurement using the self-barometer was new. Also looking at the mental constructs that are set up on Earth from our experiences, our epigenetics, and those that are inherited from the epigenetics of our ancestors versus experiential reality in the holistic unified field. And that was very, very clearly explained, because when we're working with holistic ancestral orientation and removing emotional traumas and blockages and handbrakes, we need to work in the holistic existential field, because that's where the memory is. People have heard of the Akashic record, for example. At that 0 point is where the memories are held, our existence. And that's where the realities are. That's where the truth comes out. That's where we're able to have a quantum collapse and a re-emergence of higher consciousness level. As we give away the anxiety, the rape, the aborted child, the mother that left when you were very young, whatever those interrupted reaching out periods are, they then get released in the quantum field. There's a quantum shift and visible, palpable shift in the person, self-transformed. They've done the work, self-measurement. Their own internal barometer tells them that they've shifted. So that was really nice to bring into this, never been done before in terms of holistic well-being. And a natural transition towards holistic well-being, that is the quantum collapse. And then had a look and seen, thinking clearly and living productively in all areas of our lives. And that would definitely have to do with holistic business orientation, but even on an individual level as well. Looking at the 5 principles of Taoism. The self-evident and measured rebirthing into holistic well-being consciousness. This is where the word epigenetic comes in, because epigenetic was all encompassed in my research study. Let's look at epigenetics specifically, so now we know what we're talking about. So it's not genetics; it's above genetics. This is where disease and disorder occur, in the epigenetics, the incidences, the experiences that we undergo. All right, the genetics, it would be more physical. So because you've experienced anxiety so many times, or depression so many times, or Lyme's disease so many times, the genes alter. But the core problem is in the epigenetics, your own childhood and up to now experiences, and those molecules that you inherited from your parents, your grandparents, and so on, that have come down probably 2,000 years, if you like. This is across all races. We're all carrying them. Are then embedded in you. When I see clients, it's never just them, it's them plus all those molecules of emotions, all the DNA, the blood's touched every generation that's been passed down. So if we started out all together as particles connected, we all are everything. And that's entwinement, that's inseparability, that's entanglement. So the epigenetics is where we purify on an emotional level. The physical level, we will do our quantum assessments. We will look at root causes of disease. We will then make recommendations. We will remeasure. In doing so, we reset, restore, rejuvenate, and rejoice. All in the HEILO program. And then we'll bring in the Holistic Ancestral Orientation. Now, if we're talking about a business orientation, that's when we put the people in the field. Remember, people are the catalysts. And we see what the common denominator is in that business. Are they all bringing in lack of self-worth? Are they all bringing in rejection? What are they bringing in? Because that is the handbrake of the business. And then we do process each individual. Once those memories have been given back, and self-transformation is restored, that is when we can then start developing the business. And we do that in the unified field of consciousness, at the 0 point. And we bring in dimensions of the business, and we plot and plan the future of that business authentically, in truth, organically. And from there, the businesses then develop their strategy. So if you really want to Uberize your business, it's the Holistic Business Orientation on my website. Go and have a look. There's HBO, there's HAO, and there's also Holistic Medical Orientation. So that just gives you the example of the power. Because when we're working with the subconscious and superconscious, the answers are there, they're definitive. When you're working with mind consciousness here and now, there's too many options. And they all work against each other and not difficult to make a decision. We know there's always doubt. You never really know, because the mind is really to observe. It should be non-emotional observation of things. The decisions should happen in the heart and the gut. That's in the universal consciousness. So we will then clear the members of the organization, the leaders, the management, the work people, whoever, and then go about doing the planning. Otherwise, we're working with the handbrake on. See, it's very exciting and it's beautiful work. So that's the role of epigenetics in getting us where we are here today. We had to go through certain challenges to be here today at this turning point in humanity, approaching a quantum collapse, approaching a turning point so that we can re-emerge into a higher conscious state on the earth or in another place, wherever it might be. But that's where we're heading towards. And, you know, we've undergone wars and famine and hatred for the last 2,000 years, if you like. But we've created such beautiful things. We've been so innovative, especially in the last 100 years. But with the wars and everything going on, we're quite happy to destroy it all. It just doesn't make sense, because yin and yang are not binary. They're not in the unified field. They're separate. They're in reductive duality. When you separate from the unified field, you're going to get disease, you're going to get disorder. So whilst we're acknowledging the creativity and innovation, we're also saying the results of it have been hunger, starvation, unhappiness, disease. That's got to be fixed now. And when we can reintegrate reductionism back into holism, not as dominant, but in its rightful place, meaningful place. That's what my research is looking at. Having a look at enhanced health and well-being status through the application that I've just said to you, where we purify physically and emotionally, looking at the interdisciplinary holism, those 11 theories, looking at the role of chaos causing the quantum collapse. So you think we've got chaos now, more is going to come, because it's going to come until we collapse. As a humanity, as a whole, we come together and we change our consciousness, and it can be as quick as a heartbeat. The beautiful thing also, this was a global case study. It was actually off planet, because when you are doing interviews in the unified field, you're in the unified field. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in San Francisco, London, Sydney, Moscow, Dubai, South Africa, because the unified field is everywhere. So it was definitely a global, beyond global case study, which hasn't been done before, as far as I know. And that was huge. And then, as I say, to bring in the business orientation and the medical orientation. So the final conclusions, if I could summarize it up in one word, would be self-discovery. And for self-discovery, you need to be self-empowered. You need to be self-responsible for your life, your disease, your disorder. Remember, we've created that disorder in order to shift, in order to raise our consciousness through quantum collapse. So whatever's happened in your life, you've created it. You've set it up. It was decided before you came. That person would do this to you. You would do that to that person. Somebody else would do this to you. And that is how you were going to learn your lessons. It's no use looking at blame. It's no use looking at why did it happen? Why me? You set it up. Full responsibility, 100%. And that's what this is about. I always say to my clients, I can take you to the water, but I can't drink for you. You're going to heal you. Don't phone me up and say to me, I see from your pamphlet you're going to cure blood sugar in 2 weeks. You're going to cure me of blood sugar in 2 weeks. I said, no, you're going to clear you. I'm going to give you the means to do it. I'm going to give you the education, the know-how, the nutrients. You go and do it. You go and surprise yourself. And this is a huge paradigm shift for people who arrive at me on conventional medications where they've been told what to do. And even when we do oxygen treatments, and I say to them, I have to work with your body's innate ability to heal using intelligent natural products. I can't give you day 1, do this, day 2, do this, day 3, do that, because I don't know how your body's going to react. It's a whole paradigm shift. People fall apart. Now they've got to actually listen to their body, feel what's happening, observe, make decisions for themselves. But once they do it, it's on another level. That is self-discovery, self-empowerment. Hippocrates said, physician, heal thyself. Self-transformation, exactly what we do. Perpetual renewal, raising consciousness and life force, which is neg entropy, which is our currency. It's what we live off. It's what keeps us alive, keeps the battery charged. So I looked at these various steps to navigate and increase resilience. And I brought in and introduced to the world the HIELO framework for individuals, health practitioners, business leaders, educators, clients to implement, using the practical framework as a guideline to self-consciousness and self-renewal, self-awareness. Once there's awareness, there's the quantum shift. So the whole purpose of everything is to create the awareness so that the shift can be seen. And then the case study presentation, and then holistic business orientation, holistic medical orientation, and then also HEILO for families, communities, schools, countries, and the world. And this last slide is really what they asked me in terms of return on investment. And with the three frameworks, including the medical orientation, would be 4 holistic frameworks. This was all new innovation. So personal return, organizational return, and social return. All awakening to holistic well-being. The validation was people telling me they're well, organizations telling me that they've shifted, and from a social community point of view, seeing shifts. So I would get groups of organizations coming to me where we do the work. And for me, I think, just to sum it up, was a priceless fulfillment. And I don't think anyone could ask for more than that. They asked me what I would do differently, and I said, hold on, this is not even finished. Everything is how it's meant to be. The leaf flowed along the river, went around the rocks, vortexed here and there, quantum collapsed, carried on its journey, raised its consciousness, and the stream flowed. So we always want to be in that universal flow. We want to be in the still, contented silence, stillness, operating from there. In the zero, at the 0 point, in the unified field of consciousness, in the field of universal wisdom, the truth. And amazingly enough, there are many doctors today that are coming through and sharing so much of this information. They've wised up, they've quantum collapsed, and they're aware. There's many doctors who've undergone near-death experiences from Carl Jung to current day, and they're sharing with the normal contemporary doctors that there's something beyond 1 + 1 = 2, that there is a unified field. They're coming back and telling people about heaven, for example, what they saw. So there is definitely awakening, and it's going to speed up and gain momentum very quickly. People are leaving the medical profession in their droves in America at the moment. And, I just think through disillusionment, through awareness, through knowing, and not wanting to be part of it. So those people, studying natural health, holistic health, there's the big renewal now for this kind of information to come through. And clients are searching. They're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, and they really want to get to the bottom of it all. So it's a wonderful time right now to be experiencing this. And we thank the past so that we can move into the present new paradigm shift. So with that, I'm going to end the presentation. I'm not sure if any of you have got any questions. I see a lot of you sitting in there. Thanks for coming through. Some of you are part of our processes already. You've been through the how processing. You've been through the business processing. You've been through the HIELO, where we do the measurement, look at the root causes, make recommendations, remeasure, and constantly gain awareness and perpetual harmonic renewal. That's what it's about. And it's really beautiful when clients come in and I just see the improvements. It can be as small as the gallbladder flush. They go through the night of it. They take the Epsom salt water. They take the grapefruit juice and the olive oil. They go through the night. They wake up in the morning. The liver flushes out. All the muck comes out. And they self-renew. and they want to thank me, and I'm just saying, thank yourself, you did it. You know, so it's all walks of life, the cancer people, the chronic pain, inflammation, the autoimmune people. The lady came with excruciating pain, endometriosis, fibroids, and so on. We put her on one oxygen drip. That lady arrived the next day with a smile from ear to ear. Her mother could not believe it. The nurses could not believe it. She smiled the entire morning. She slept for the first night in over a month. She couldn't leave the hot water bottle off her stomach. It was so sore, the genitourinary area. This is the kind of miracles we talk about. This is what's happening. You know, nervous system renewal, brain renewal. And we work with the pace of the body, the innate potential of the body to heal. There's no time expectation. There is no expectation either, because then you're getting reductive. You're starting to separate the yin and the yang. If we're working in unison and we're allowing things to happen of their own accord, that's when we're in the flow. Yeah, so that's really beautiful. And I invite you all to book appointments and come and get your assessments. Let's physically purify you. Let's emotionally purify you. Because often we get to the point where the desk's lined in products, that people come in and they've taken this and taken that, and there's boxes of stuff. And we need to get the root cause beyond the physical, which is the emotional. And that's really fun. And you can look at my YouTubes. There's over 300 now of educational YouTubes, centering around the products, the beautiful things that they do, and dis-ease, disorder in the body. And I just want to thank you all for your contributions, and I look forward to even more contributions from everybody, because I know we this is teamwork. We're working together holistically. And we're also looking forward now to sharing this with the universe, with humanity, with the medical professions, with the financial professions, with the educational professions, etc. And, you know, just building those bridges of holism. So, yeah, thank you very much for coming in. And I will also be posting the recording. See you next week.